Hello Year 4, it's Miss Bellis here. Welcome to today's maths. Today we're going to carry on our learning about graphs. Can you remember from yesterday's lesson we started looking at line graphs, and we're going to carry on with that today. Can you remember that a line graph shows a trend or pattern in information over a period of time? So here is today's in focus, and it tells us that a glass of water was left in a freezer. Its temperature was taken every 10 minutes. So here we have a picture of the water with a thermometer in it at the start of the experiment, then what it looked like after 10 minutes, then 20 minutes, then 30 minutes, and so on. Now, I didn't think you'd be able to read what these little thermometers said for the temperatures, so I've written them underneath. So at the start of the experiment, the temperature of the water was 25 degrees Celsius. After 10 minutes, it was 15 degrees. After 20 minutes, it was 5 degrees, and so on. So can we draw a line graph for this data? How do you know? How would you organise the information before drawing the graph? How should we label the axes? Now you might remember from yesterday's lesson we talked about an x-axis and a y-axis. The x-axis is along the bottom of the graph and the y-axis goes up along the side, and they show us the information we are looking at. Have a go and then we'll look at a solution together. Okay, so first of all, we can see that the information has been organised into a table. In the first row, we have the time in minutes. And can you see that instead of start of experiment, it's been put as 0 minutes because that's the very beginning. And then we have 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and so on. The second row shows the temperature in degrees Celsius. And we can clearly see in the table that at the start of the experiment, or 0 minutes, the temperature was 25 degrees. Then this information has been put into a line graph. Let's have a look at how it's been organised. Well, along the bottom on our x-axis, we can see that the time is shown in minutes at every 10 minutes. So we have 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and so on, with an equal amount of space between. And on our y-axis, going up here, we have the temperature of the water in degrees, and it goes up in fives. So that's 5 degrees, 10 degrees, 15 degrees, 20 degrees, 25 degrees, and up to 30 degrees. So how have they managed to put the information onto the graph? If we look at our table, we can see at the beginning of the experiment, the temperature of the water was 25 degrees. So if we go to 0 minutes, which is here, and then we go up to 25 degrees, that's where the first mark will have been made. After 10 minutes, the temperature was 15 degrees. So we go to 10 minutes, and then if we go up until the line intersects with the 15, that's where the second point will have happened. And 20 minutes, the temperature was 5 degrees, and that's recorded here. Here's the 20 minutes, and it goes up till it reaches the line that says 5 degrees. And then all of these points have been joined up with a line, and that can show us a trend or a pattern. And Hannah asks, did the temperature increase, which means goes up, decrease, which means goes down, or remain the same? What do you think? Okay, so here is today's guided practice. And to answer the questions from the guided practice, you will need the line graph we just looked at. I have put it on the sheet. And we need to answer these questions. So question 1 asks, what was the temperature of the water in the glass at the start of the experiment? And then we need to answer, by how much did the temperature drop after 20 minutes? And Sam reminds us that's the first 20 minutes. And then we need to look at, by how much did the temperature drop in the next 20 minutes? And finally, you have to say what you noticed about the temperature after 40 minutes. Pause the video and have a go, and we'll look at the answers together. Okay, so here are the answers. For question 1, we could see that the temperature at the beginning of the experiment was 25 degrees. Now for question 2, it asked, by how much did the temperature drop after 20 minutes? Well, if we look at 20 minutes, it reads 5 degrees, but the answer wouldn't be 5 degrees because we're looking at how much the temperature changed from the start of the experiment to 20 minutes in. So it started at 25 degrees, and after 20 minutes the temperature was 5 degrees. So 25 take away 5 will give us 20 degrees. And then we had to see how much the temperature dropped in the next 20 minutes. So that was following on. So the next 20 minutes is between 20 and 40 minutes. And we can see from our graph that the temperature dropped from 5 degrees to 0. So it dropped by 5 degrees. And finally, it asked, what did you notice about the temperature after 40 minutes? Well, the answer to this is that we can see that the temperature went to 0 degrees and it did not change. It carried on at 0 degrees for 50 minutes and 60 minutes. Okay, so here is today's worksheet. Now, some of you might be saying, you've put the answers up, and I have for question 1. I'm not going to do this for all of the rest of them, but I thought I would do this for the first one, because the first question says a beaker of water was left on the table to evaporate for 5 hours. The amount of water in the beaker was recorded every hour. So here are the beakers, and we can see that the water is going down each hour. Now, I didn't think it was very clear to be able to read what these amounts said, so I have written them in the table for you for the amount of water. So after 0 hours, it was 100 millilitres. After 1 hour, 90 millilitres, and so on. So I've put those answers in for you. Now, the reason I've done that is for question 2, you will need to complete a line graph based on that information. So you have to draw a line graph to show the amount of water in the beaker over a 5-hour period. So you've got your time in hours along here and your amount of water here. So you need to put the information from the table onto the line graph. And then you need to answer these questions. So for question 3, they have drawn the line graph for you. It was for a different beaker of water. So you need to look at the line graph very carefully and then answer these questions. So here are the answers for question 1, which you already had. And here are the answers for question 2. And here are the answers for question 3. Okay, so here is today's extension. As always, it's up to you if you do the extension or not. So here we have another line graph, and on our x-axis we can see the time in minutes. It's going up in amounts of 5 minutes at a time along here. And then on our y-axis we have something that says depth in centimetres. And your challenge is to make up a story that fits the graph. So you'll need to think about what it might be measuring. We've got something that's happening over a period of time and something that affects depth. Do have a go if you would like to. Well, that's it from me for today. I hope you have a fantastic day and I'll speak to you soon. Goodbye.